Hi there. I'm Ed Gribbin, CEO of Gribbin Strategic and a proud member of AAPN. And I'm so proud of not only our Tech Mat Sci team, but of all the teams who have contributed to our Future Forum events. My subcommittee on fabric and garment formation technologies looked at current relevant trends, future trends, what's driving them, and what obstacles we see out there. On the fabric side, one of the relevant technologies addresses one of our industry's major problems. Only 0.5% of the world's water is consumable fresh water. 90% of that is used for industry and agriculture. And it's no secret that our industry is the #3 user of potable fresh water after oil and pulp, and we're the #2 polluter of water. And 85% of the water we use is for fabric dyeing. Now, however, there are a number of waterless coloring techniques using either solvent dyes or pigment-based technologies that use no water at all in the coloring process. Color is established at the fiber level before yarn is extruded, eliminating water usage and leading to non-fading color consistency as well. We've also finally beginning to see the extensive use of recycled fibers, both natural and synthetic. I was fortunate to visit AAPN member Unify 2 years ago and see their amazing operation. There are also some biodegradable synthetic fibers, particularly using PHA pellets, although these are pretty early stage when it comes to producing clothing fabrics. Lastly, nanotechnologies have been around for a decade and a half now and have been used for antimicrobial and water repellent performance in fabrics. But questions remain about nanosilver, for example, potentially leaching into wastewater over time. So more to come on nanotechnologies. AAPN member Wynn's Group recently developed Solyester, a unique pre-colored textile that uses zero water in the coloring process. They've combined it with CopTech, a patented EPA-approved antimicrobial technology, and they're sustainably producing yarn, fabrics, and finished garments with permanent color, permanent antimicrobial, and anti-odor properties. On the garment side, these are not new by any means, but factory automation, unit production systems, shop floor control platforms, and on-demand production models are getting a lot of attention these days as ways to reduce costs, shrink lead times, and enhance transparency. 3D design, prototyping, fitting, and marketing have finally come into their own and are seeing widespread adoption, especially in the last year. I think COVID did more for 3D product development than years of trade shows and conferences devoted to the subject. And partly because of the industry's pivot to PPE over the past year, we've seen a wave of new machines that completely automate mask, gown, and glove making, which will enable those products to be made competitively in the US, which is something our government is strongly pushing for. One other technology near and dear to my heart is fit technology. There's a new wave of sophisticated tech like 3D Look that's enabling accurate size predictions for e-commerce, contactless fitting of uniforms, and custom fit made to measure on-demand apparel products, all of which contribute to a more sustainable clothing industry. Looking into the future, as more brands develop initiatives for circularity, both Ralph Lauren and PVH come to mind, for example. They have specific plans to be selling at least some fully circular products by 2025. We will see more investment in chemically separating garment component materials in order to recycle them, either for future garment production or for some other end use. I think we'll see progress towards circularity in the coming 5 years, but honestly, I think it'll be 10 to 15 years before we see widespread industry adoption of circularity techniques. We see some use of smart textiles and sensor type technologies today, but this will accelerate rapidly over the next 5 years. And in my opinion, it'd be something that we as consumers take for granted by the end of this decade. We're at the early stages of developing new sustainable fibers from things like seaweed, kapok fiber, even apples and oranges. But these developments will continue to be driven by sustainability concerns over traditional fibers and production methods. On the garment side, there continues to be development in 3D printing of garments and the types of materials that can be 3D printed. I think this will accelerate in the years ahead, enabling on-demand instant production, complete circularity, and within 5 years, I predict we'll be able to have a fashion subscription service similar to iTunes, where we can download and print new styles and then recycle them when we're tired of them or they don't fit anymore. So what are the drivers that are influencing relevant technologies today? Well, cost and speed have traditionally been the drivers of innovation, but today sustainability and a desire to both protect the environment and preserve scarce resources are primary, in my opinion. Supply chain transparency, ethical sourcing, and traceability are also key drivers of innovation today. And with COVID and the almost inevitability of future pandemics, there is also a push for strong, permanent, but environmentally safe antimicrobial and antiviral technologies built into clothing. In terms of obstacles to technological innovation, people always bring up cost. And there's also a lack of standards in testing requirements that can be an obstacle. But that said, I've seen more brands willing to invest in innovation today than at any time in the past 40 years. And they're not necessarily passing costs on to consumers to do so, nor are they eroding their margins. I've seen more innovation from efficiencies in every area, from design to supply chain to logistics, that has actually freed up dollars for technological innovation. So thanks for your attention. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. With that, I'll turn it over to the next member of our team, Keith Dartley.